All right, well, we're finally getting into some nice Florida weather, and we were working in the shop today on the K24 Cefiro build. So since we got this car done, really just driven it. I mean, we've done, I want to say 5 events with it in a couple months, and it's been a trooper. It's been working great, but there's some odds and ends that we need to get fixed up on this car to get it back to 100%. It's taken a lot of abuse. Hasn't had a lot of love. So we've got some aesthetic stuff I want to handle and some mechanical stuff to hopefully fix some issues we have. And then she should be in tip-top shape and ready for the next event. So first order of business is going to be on the aesthetic front. So I want to get the matching rear wheels back on this car. Luckily, we now have a bunch of tires on the way and a set of tires to go on the rear wheels. Slight problem with that is when I was fighting and fussing with the tires, trying to remount some tires on these wheels, I tore the silicone seal. So I've got some new silicone. I want to get these resealed up so we can let them sit and cure for a bit. While we do that, we can work on other stuff, so on and so forth. But moral of the story is we're going to be working on the Cefiro today, get it back again to 100% so we can start driving it more and enjoying it, which is the whole point. So enough jibber jabber. Let's get to work. Let's seal these wheels up. Alright, got these things sealed back up. Man, pretty solid silicone job, if I do say so myself. We'll let those cure. Let's move on to the mechanicals. So a problem that reared its ugly head at the last event was catch can filling up. So a lot of people worry when they start filling up a catch can that it's an issue with the engine. The engine's blowing up, there's so much blow by that it's filling up the catch can. Usually that's not the case. A lot of times what the problem is baffling. So the idea of these is to relieve crankcase pressure. There's pressure that builds up from compression passing the piston rings, which is going to happen, especially on a turbocharged application. And this is supposed to relieve that pressure. It's got to go somewhere. However, what can happen is oil can find its way out. That's why you have a catch can. So you don't want oil to get into the catch can, but it's just kind of a byproduct of letting the pressure out. Now, the better the baffling is, the less oil you should have going to the catch can. Usually if you have a ton of oil going to the catch can, it's because you don't have enough baffling. So we have these Motion Raceworks breathers here, and the problem is there's not a lot of room on the inside of the valve cover to all the valve train components. So we weren't able to use the factory baffle that comes with these bolt-on breathers. So we don't have great baffling. On top of that, where we had to put them is pretty low down the side of the valve cover. So when the oil gets hot and is all in the head and getting splashed around, we're just shoving oil right at it. And it's going to find its way into the catch can. And this wasn't too big of a problem before. You know, we'd fill up the catch can after an event plus a bunch of street driving. However, this last event we were filling it up every like 4 or 5 laps, which is completely unacceptable. This is a very big catch can. There is no reason we should be filling this up every 4 laps. And then of course it overflows and spills everywhere. It's an absolute mess. Why this got worse is because we put a bunch of grip in the car. We're running 10, 12 PSI in the tires versus 30, which is going to add more G-force to splash the oil around into the catch can. It's going to add more load onto the engine, which is going to generate more heat, which is going to thin the oil out more, which is going to just compound the problem. So I think it's really a factor of that made it worse, to the point where we got to solve the problem. We've got to change this up to prevent this from happening. So my solution is I have, let me show you, this K-tuned valve cover. Now I was going to have to buy another valve cover anyway to change up either the fitting location or the breather type. And then I wanted to do a wrinkle red valve cover anyway. So it really ended up being about the same cost to just do this wrinkle red K-tuned one. So this one has 4 10 ORB ports for the breathers, so on either side, because obviously this would normally be in a front wheel drive car. And then it's got the factory port in the rear, which we can just block off. But the big thing for me is it's baffled. So as you can see, the port is up here, and there's a baffle that should help prevent oil from splashing up into it. And our ports are going to be moved up much higher and again above that baffle. So if this doesn't solve our problem, we might have a more serious issue to look into. I think this is going to be fine. I think this should do the trick. And it's wrinkle red. Wrinkle red, Honda motor, they go hand in hand. So you can kind of see better now what I mean. Our breathers were here, so the cam is slapping oil around and just going to be slapping them right out of the breathers. So it wasn't the ideal situation. There's just nowhere else to put them. So hopefully this new valve cover cures our problem. Head's still looking good, cam still looks good, everything looking nice. All right, I need to swap everything from the old to the new. I did kind of screw the pooch, and I didn't order any 10 ORB fittings for this side. I thought I had some. I only had one. So I've got another fitting that's just kind of in there until the ones I ordered come in. All right, let's toss this one on. Oh man, that looks good. Whenever we pull the engine out of this thing to paint the bay, I really want to ceramic coat the turbo manifold and the downpipe ceramic black to match the intake manifold. So it'll be like black, black, and then wrinkle red. I think that'll look really good. So let's try to modify these lines. I think if we just switch the fittings, basically put the 90 on the long line and the 45 on the short line. Let's try that. All right, well that actually works out pretty well. I thought I was gonna have to build all new lines, but it honestly looks better than it did before as far as line routing. I dig the wrinkle red. I wanted to do a wrinkle red cover on this thing for a long time. I like wrinkle red valve covers in general, but especially on a Honda engine, like you just can't beat it. All right, hopefully the silicone is dry enough. I've said it before, I'll say it again, having an ice tire machine has been amazing. Also, a frog just ran inside the tire machine, so that's pretty cool. Gotta use lots of lube mounting these boys up. Jesus Christ, what the hell? We're seeing a wheel fall like 3 feet into the air. Jesus. Alright, well, one down, one to go. These tires fit a lot better than the old tires I had stretched on here. Oh man, this is exciting. I have had these wheels just sitting in my garage, needing to be resealed, needing new tires since the probably second or third event with this car, when I burned the tires off of these. So I'm really stoked to get these back on the car. The old girl's gonna get her mojo back. The chrome wheels on this car really make it. So, plus these rear tires are freaking dead, so I haven't driven the car that much. We are gonna have to realign the rear. It's not as simple as just swapping the wheel on. We've gotta completely realign the rear to fit these wheels. So we need to get this old girl up on the lift and put her in hot boy mode, basically. Very tight space to try to turn with a wrench. Makes it a little tricky. Oh yeah. That'll work. Well, that actually went quicker than anticipated. Just gotta tighten everything down, knock out the other side, see how it looks back on the big boy wheels. It's been a while now since I've seen it on these wheels, and yes, this is it. This is it. Ah, I love it. Even though we have to sacrifice by having camber in the rear, it's worth it, man. It just looks so good on these wheels with the chrome and the chrome trim of the car and the four-door. Oh, man, I love the way this thing turned out. I do think I might want to go to a less meaty front tire, a little bit smaller, a little bit more stretch, and lower the front of the car some, and then she'll be money. It's cool seeing it next to the 8.6. Three-piece wheels, stretch, low. All right, I'm gonna go drive it real quick, see how it is. We have some other problems to tackle as well. I'll have to put it back on the lift, but I just couldn't resist pulling it out and checking it out. All right, well, I was wrong. We are rub-a-dub-dubbing. As you can see, we cut into the tire pretty good. It's the factory inner fender. I don't know if you can see it right there. So I need to work that a little more. I haven't wanted to cut it out yet because I'm gonna go with full over fenders here. So I don't wanna cut it and then weld it and then recut it. But it makes it tough because the further forward the wheel is, the more it rubs up here as this tapers in, but the further back it is, and we rub into that. So I'm gonna try to pull it forward a little bit, tiny bit on the other side, and I think we'll be in business. I've got to decide if I want to take this car drifting this weekend or the 8.6. I really want to take the 8.6 because I haven't driven it yet, but I don't really have any tires for it. So a bit of a dilemma. But either way, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. We're gonna cruise over to Raldo and Josue's shop just as a good excuse to drive the old girl. All right, well, after driving this thing some, it's smoking a bit now. Again, mainly if you let it idle. And the diff line, this is I think the fastest I've gone with it, like 55, 60. The diff line is loud. So I think we're really gonna need to do a few things to this before taking it to the track. I want to drive it to the track. I don't want to tow this thing to the track. That's not what this car is meant for. So yeah, anyway, heading back home now. We'll get back to work on this Cefiro, get that fitment dialed in. All right, made it back home with the old girl. Moving back to the Cefiro, especially now that we are going to be driving this coming weekend, we need to get it sorted out. So I want to try to finish up the rear alignment, take 3 of trying to get it. It's a fine line to fit these wheels. Like everything has to be perfect. The amount of camber, the caster, where the wheel is, the ride height, we've got to get all that 100% for these to clear comfortably. That's a whole lot of jibber jabbering in one shot. Let's get back into the working part of things. All right, so we're just gonna raise this side up a touch. It's not rubbing very bad at all. I almost want to leave. We'll raise it up a touch, just a little bit. The other side's got to go up a decent bit. It's a good bit lower. For those of you that see cars and are like, thing's not even low. Thing's not even fitted. Well, this is what it takes to be low and fitted. It takes a lot of finessing. It's not just bolt the parts on and go. I also need to set the toe all around. The rear toe is just eyeball, and you can tell it's not right. The car is very wandery. I don't mind it rubbing. We're gonna have rubbing. It's part of it. I just don't want it to rub all the time. You know, if it rubs over big bumps or on hard throttle, that's okay. But I just don't want it rubbing just driving down the road. That's no bueno. All right, I think we've got everything pretty dialed now. I say that, we'll go drive it. We'll be rubbing in the front now or something, but got both sides about matched. I'm gonna quit jibber jabbering. We're gonna go drive it, see if it's good. If it's good, we can actually tinker with the tune some more this time. I did fix that one stumble when you're kind of launching in second gear. It's like around 1500, 2000 RPM. If you lugged it at all, it would just go super lean. So I think that's pretty much sorted. There's just a few more things I want to tinker with, but we gotta go drive it to do so. So enough jibber jabber. Let's go drive. All right, fingers crossed this thing drives good now. All right, well, I think it's safe to say that we've got the fitment pretty squared away. All right, well, we've actually got the car back on the lift because I lied. Little too low. So I took some tires over to Raldo and Josue's that I had for them, and just with 4 tires in the back, the weight of 4 tires, we were rub-a-dub-dubbing pretty much the whole way there, over even the slightest bump, and aggressively rubbing. So I went ahead and raised it up about ½ inch to an inch because we're going to be driving it to the track. So we're going to have 4 wheels with tires on them, a lot heavier, jack, tools, etc., helmet, so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely needed it to be a little bit higher. Hopefully we're not going to rub. So other thing, I was just kind of tinkering here, and then I realized brake master cylinder is getting a little melty. You know, we cut the downpipe pretty far away, but the wastegate tube, you know, when that wastegate's open, that's going to get pretty hot, and then just this area in general is going to heat up a lot. So I want to go ahead and build just a quick little heat shield. So let's measure, bend, you know the deal. Every time I go to use the press brake, it bugs the crap out of me that this thing is so corroded, as well as the table on the belt grinder. I've been needing to take care of these for a while, and we're going to do it today before we dive into our little fab project. But it's a perfect timing, because it gives me a good excuse to show you a product from today's video sponsor, the Blaster Cord. So most of you are probably familiar with PV Blaster. If you work on cars, especially up north, I'm sure you have a can of this in your garage. You can attest to the magical powers of PV. But that's not what we're using today. To solve our problem, we have a new product from them called Surface Shield. So this stuff works really well at protecting bare metal, but kind of keeping it bare metal. So we use it on the welding table. Very humid in Florida, bare metal doesn't stand a chance. I mean, a day and this stuff will rust. So I use this to protect the welding table, but keep it bare because it needs to be bare because it's a welding table. So we're gonna use the same thing on the press brake and the belt grinder table. Get them looking nice and spiffy before we get back to using them. All right, well, that was definitely a very satisfying, very rewarding project. I've been meaning to do that to both of these literally since I did the table, like months ago now. So Very satisfying. It looks so much better. It looks better than it was new. Now we've got a nice, smooth, bare metal surface still. So anyway, jibber jabbering. Now that that's done, let's build our little Breakmaster shield. Should be a fun little project. Shouldn't be too complicated. All right, got all our bends marked out. You can see we got bends on both sides. We got all that planned out. We just got to start bending it, test fitting. Bending and test fitting. There's going to be a lot of that because these two are not a specific angle. It's going to be whatever kind of fits and then the equal opposite of that to get this back straight. So we got our work cut out for us. Shouldn't be too bad. Just got to be patient. Let's get to bending. All right, got the heat shield all done. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with how it came out overall. A couple things left to do still when we have some more time. I want to run this line through it, and then I need to make an attachment method for the back here. It's just kind of like rests on that lip, basically. But it's in there pretty good. All the bends came out correct. The only place I screwed up is I thought this last leg was too long, and I did intend to make it a little long, but it wasn't. It was just, when I was trying to test fit it with a down pipe, it seemed like it was too long. It wasn't too long. I should have left it. But either way, it doesn't really change anything for what the purpose of it is. It just makes it harder to mount the back of it, which is why we're going to do that later. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the fit up. We got it notched around the wastegate there. It should definitely do the job. Hopefully prevent us from melting that the rest of the way this event, and then we can replace it, finish this up, so on and so forth. Jibber and jabber. But point is, that's done for now. For this event, should be good. Now I just need to mount some tires up, get everything loaded up in the car, and then we'll be ready to go to the event. So I guess it's back to work. All right, got this thing fully loaded up and ready to go. Gotta love having a 4-door, all the room in the world. We got tires, jack tools, cooler, everything in the trunk. I think the ride height is high enough for us to not rub too bad. I did test drive it. Everything seems okay. Just a bit of a bumpy ride to the track. So fingers crossed we make it there without rubbing too bad. But yeah, this thing's pretty much ready to go. But before then, we got the new comp car coming, and I'm gonna have to show you guys that first. I can't wait. I can't put it off. I am way too hyped. So look forward to that. I hope to see you guys for that. And then we got some drifting. I might try to throw 3 passengers in this if they'll let me. See if it'll do it with 3 people. That'd be pretty cool. But anyways, tons to look forward to. I hope to see you guys for all of it. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.